Is it ethically permissible for Planned Parenthood to harvest organs from aborted children? By Sandish Parker, Emma Green, Allison Foxer, Laura Story, and Joe Smith.
Planned Parenthood is an organization sponsored by the government to provide family planning to those with lower family incomes. In this video, we will discuss what is the value of Planned Parenthood, pros and cons of Planned Parenthood, secular worldview in Planned Parenthood, Christian worldview in Planned Parenthood.
The key issues of Planned Parenthood has been accused of selling tissues from aborted children for profit. They are a nonprofit organization. Are abortions ethically to begin with? Does ethics of abortions affect the ethics of donating fetal tissues?
Brief history of Planned Parenthood. In 1960, Margaret Sanger, a nurse who worked with immigrants, created a clinic in Brooklyn, New York to give contraceptive advice. These immigrants would line up outside of the door before the clinic opened just to hear her advice. In 1923, Sanger opened the Birth Control Clinic Research Bureau in Manhattan, as well as founding the American Birth Control League. These two organizations later merged to become the Planned Parenthood Federation of America, or PPFA. This is the same organization that we all are familiar with today. On May 9, 1960, the birth control pill was created to prevent conception. In 2003, President George Bush defunded Planned Parenthood. And then in 2007, the Affordable Care Act began to fund PPFA and make the organization affordable to lower-income families. And then most recently, in 2015, the Planned Parenthood videos came out about how the Planned Parenthood had been selling organs to research companies in order to gain profit.
What are the legal issues surrounding PPFA? Planned Parenthood was accused of selling harvested tissues from aborted children. It is legal to donate fetal tissue, but it is not legal to sell it. Planned Parenthood claims that the money they were discussing in the videos released by the Center for Medical Progress was reimbursement for the cost of the procedure and the donation itself, which is also legal, but the bounds for reimbursement are vague. Planned Parenthood was also accused of performing partial birth abortions. Partial birth abortions are illegal. However, in the videos, Planned Parenthood says they often change the child to the breech position in order to deliver the body first without crushing it, and then they terminate the pregnancy. This is evidence that Planned Parenthood was breaking the law in order to acquire the tissues they sold. Planned Parenthood denies all accusations, and investigations were inconclusive.
What are the pros and cons of Planned Parenthood? For the pros, we have health care for men and women. Each year, Planned Parenthood provides STD testing, general health care, and contraceptives. They have affordable services, and they are publicly accessible information for sensitive topics. So basically, it's sex ed for those who don't get it elsewhere. The cons are that they provide substantial annual number of abortions, illegal trafficking of fetal tissue, and they receive large amounts of government funding.
What is the secular worldview on Planned Parenthood and this controversy? For this project, we used atheism for our secular worldview. There is a lack of belief in God with this view, which fuels their widespread support of pro-choice. When further relating atheism to embryonic stem cell research, an atheist would state that this research is ethical because it provides life improvements. Embryonic stem cells have the ability to transform into any cell, which means it would be possible to grow necessary tissue or organs needed for transplant patients in labs. A secular worldview, such as atheism, would also support embryonic stem cell research because they believe it is a good use of the aborted fetal tissue.
A Christian worldview take on Planned Parenthood. A Christian can be summarized as a follower of Christ who believes in the word of the Bible. This means they see all of the world through a biblical lens. So with the topic of abortion, they are always going to support pro-life because they view the abortion of a child as murder. It states in Psalm 139, which is a book of the Bible, verses 13 through 16, "For I formed your inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praised you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of your earth. You saw my eyes unformed substance. In your books were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when yet there were none of them." This just goes to show you that Christians have a firm belief that this research that the tissues are being sold for is the destruction of life. And once again, this is unethical because it's murder. In conclusion, if allegations against Planned Parenthood are true, and they sold children's organs for money, they are acting unethically because they are making a profit as a non-profit organization.
There is law that allows reimbursement for procedures necessary for donation of aborted fetal tissue. However, it has come into question whether or not PPFA was actually receiving money to break even or receiving money to make profit.
Our group consistently holds a Christian worldview. We view abortion as murder of the innocent.
We believe abortion is murder because the Bible tells us that we are children of God even before we are born. Abortion is never acceptable because it is the termination of an innocent life created in God's image.
If someone were to torture a 3-year-old, would you not go out of your way to stop that? Why are we not doing the same against abortion and the disassembly of fetuses?
With Christianity, unborn children have equal value to those who have already been born, whereas with a secular worldview like atheism, they often view born children as humans with rights, while unborn children are valued less and not given the same rights.
It says in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5, "I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart, and I appointed you as my prophet to the nations."